We are explaining evolution today, and evolution they say simply that organisms evolved from each other.
Mhm.
It means, hang on a second. Here we go. It means, for example, let's say life started as prokaryotes. From where did this prokaryote came from? Life was not created.
Mhm.
It is happening just like this. There is a hypothesis that they say it is called, we have methane gas in the atmosphere of early Earth billions of years ago, ammonia,
Mhm.
NH3. Your voice is very low. Hydrogen,
Yes. Can you hear me?
yes, now it's okay. And water vapor. This was the early Earth. Gases, they were struck by lightning, and
Mhm.
this made what they say spontaneous generation. So the generation of life happened spontaneously, and there is a question on this part that came once or twice in the exam, speaking about spontaneous generation. What is this? They say that they tried to do this experiment in real life, and they brought,
Yeah.
once the drawing came in the exam, they brought this picture. Hang on a second. And what is this picture? They had a chamber here that is empty from oxygen, no oxygen. It has water vapor, methane, ammonia, and hydrogen. Water is evaporating
Mhm.
from here and moving through there. A spark of electricity simulating the lightning of early Earth, making a reaction
Yes.
between these things, and the water vapor will take the result down here. The question was pointing at this part, and they said what was found in the area X. This reaction created amino acids. They couldn't create life. We believe in God. Allah
Mm.
created life. Okay. And today they are speaking about the evolution. We are explaining evolution, but we need to say, even if, let's not argue, did this happen or not? Let's say, even if this happened, it didn't happen by coincidence. Allah is,
Mm.
we know how we were created, but we don't know how Allah created the other organisms. So maybe this was the technique,
Yeah.
no problem, even if they succeeded and they will not. Even if they succeeded 100% to prove this, okay, this was guided by Allah well, okay? So not to
Mhm.
repeat this many times because some evidences will look reasonable, but even if you said that this reaction created life, who said that this could be true? Okay, it is true. Okay, it is true. Who drove these materials together? Who created the DNA? Who wrote the technique of the DNA containing the information of the cell? Nothing just spontaneous like this can create a highly precise molecule like DNA with writing all the informations about the cells in this DNA with the transcription, translation, and how the cell is performing. This can never happen by coincidence. There must be a scenario and these molecules are following it. So we will not discuss this again to save time. Then we spoke in chapter 2, ya Mubina, about something called endosymbiosis. Remember when we said there are smaller prokaryotes, mitochondria lived as a small prokaryote, large prokaryote, all of them has its own DNA. And what happened? Endosymbiosis.
Endosomal.
When the small prokaryote lived inside larger prokaryote, creating the eukaryotic cell. And we said the evidence of the endosymbiosis is that mitochondria and
Mitochondria.
chloroplast have their own
DNA.
DNA. Okay? Then life started to evolve from unicellular organism to multicellular organism to more complicated multicellular organism and so on. So they say here appears things like sponges and jellyfish. Then appeared worms, insects, and arthropods. Then some of the worms evolved to form fish. Then amphibians. Then reptiles, which evolved.
It's not an ecosystem, right?
What? What do you say?
It's not like sponge. Yeah, it's not like worms ate sponge jellyfishes and arthropod insects ate
They are
worms.
evolving. Mutation in the DNA of unicellular made it multicellular. Mutation changed the genetic information, so changed the phenotype. Jellyfish and some small multicellular organisms, mutation, they create worm. Mutations in the worm, they create gills. Mutations in the worm with the gills, they create fins. Adding to the genetic diversity, adding to the genes to create new traits. Hypothesizing.
Okay.
Okay, so this was the introduction. The first important thing is what are the evidences of evolution? First thing, let's start with the easier ones. One, biogeography. The distribution of organisms living in different areas of Earth. Every organism living in different environment has different characteristics from each other. And organisms that live in similar environments have similar characteristics. Organisms living in similar environment have similar characteristics. It means that the environment affect in the body structure and the existence of organisms. Also, this came in the exam. Early Earth was one big piece of land.
But wasn't it big an ocean?
It was large ocean with one piece of land. There were no continents. Then the continents separated due to earthquakes and the continental drift and things like this. So All organisms were once the same thing, living on the same piece of land. Then, after the separation of the continents, organisms evolved differently. Okay?
Yeah.
So, by studying organisms and their environment, they have evidence that organisms evolved from a common ancestor. Also, I will start with the easier ones. Okay? Number 2, DNA and the amino acids, DNA nucleotide, amino acid, sequence of similar proteins, and DNA nucleotide sequence similarity. So they say, and this is a hypothesis, that is not an evidence, because some organisms may have similarity in their DNA, so they evolved from a common ancestor that evolved and they gave two different organs. Who said so? It's an evidence. Okay. So what else? Similar biochemical reactions. Number 3, similar chemical pathways. Like example, similar cellular respiration. All of the eukaryotic organisms perform cellular respiration the same way in their mitochondria. So we all came from the same ancestor that gave us all this mitochondria. Okay. Look at this. Hang on a second. They ask about the RNA polymerase. RNA polymerase is an enzyme, and the enzymes are made of proteins. So when they ask about the similarity in the RNA polymerase, is not here. When they ask about the similarity in the RNA polymerase of all living things, we say because they
Yeah.
have common ancestor, so they have common proteins. Okay, look at this.
Okay. What was common like RNA was?
What?
RNA.
Look at this. RNA polymerase, an enzyme, which is a protein. We said common proteins on all living things, say that they have a common ancestor. Yani all living things, it's like this. All the evidence say that we had like early mammal, small animal, that divided into two groups, group to the right, group to the left. Those had different changes from those. Then this divided into two groups. Then this divided into two groups. Let's say this became mammal, like cow. This is lion. This is dog. This is bat. So they say that bat and lion and the cow and dog, they have many similarities. This suggests that they evolved from a common ancestor. Okay.
Okay.
So when he says RNA polymerase is similar in most of the species because most of the species evolved from the same ancestor.
Ancestor.
Okay.
Okay. Well, Mr. What was RNA?
huh?
What was RNA?
RNA, transcription and translation, chapter 7, remember?
Yes.
You need to revise. Uh,
Yes, I'm right.
Now look at this question. Scientists found fossils of two animals that belong to the same species but located in different areas of Earth. Organisms that are related,
Yeah.
but one is found in Australia and one in South America. How could they belong in two different places? Their fossils means that they are supposed to be living together. Ah, Australia was once near South America when the animals all roamed
Yeah.
what was once a big piece of land. Okay.
Uh, okay, but يعني enemies animals might migrated.
Look at the answers. They all make sense, but we need to select the answer that we took during our study. Animals migrate. Someone spread the fossils. Nature disaster forced them to separate once. All those make sense, but what did
Okay.
we take in the curriculum? What did we take in the chapter? Animals live in different areas of Earth where they once lived on a one big piece of land. Okay?
Okay. But some animals don't live in hot environment, and some animals don't live in cold environment. How they live
Yeah, he is
together?
not speaking about the animals living now. He's speaking about the fossils of the animals. Like the kangaroo. Kangaroo is found only in
They're
Australia.
different.
How can we get fossils of kangaroo in South America? Unless Australia and South America were once
Okay.
the same. Okay. Then number 4,
Okay.
similar embryo or similar embryological development. Suggest common ancestors. Suggest common ancestors. Like what? Like this photo. Look at this. They look at the embryo, the baby. They look at the embryo of all the vertebrates, fish, reptiles, birds, and mammals. They say all the embryo look the same. We have openings like here, looks like gills. So we all evolved from the common ancestor, like were all fish before. Why? Because we have gills while we are developing, and this is not true. We have an opening here during pregnancy. We have an opening here, but we don't breathe through it. It is going to be closed and form a tube behind the ear here. You know,
Ear.
our are connected to our buccal cavity. When you have flu, you feel like your ear is under pressure because nose is
Yeah.
connected to ear by this opening. So it is not gills. It is part of my body. But forget about it. We are not arguing with this. So similar
Okay.
embryo, similar proteins, similar DNA sequence, similar chemical pathways. All these things suggest common ancestry. The fossil record, number 5, fossils in deeper layers of Earth are more primitive. So when they study the earth layers, they found the primitive organism more advanced, more advanced, more advanced, more advanced. So this says that organisms evolved from the more primitive to the more advanced. Clear?
Yeah, so primitive means يعني weakest.
What?
Primitive means it's weak.
Old. You know, like the old Nokia is a primitive, بدائي. Cavemen. Cavemen are primitive and we are advanced. The old mobiles with the buttons, you know, and now the smartphones. The old mobile is primitive, and today's smartphones are advanced. The evolution of phones, they change it from the primitive to the advanced. Okay.
Okay.
The last evidence, and this is the most important one, focus with me. The body parts. Studying anatomy or body parts, they prove that organisms have changed over time. Like what? Number one, look at this. You will see some body parts, body organs that have similarity. Look at this. They say that all these organisms, they have the front limb, like the foreleg of the cat, the arm of human, the foreleg of the horse. All these parts are found in the same location in the body. They have the same, they say these are the same bones but are a little bit modified. The bones changed over time, but they are still the same. This group of bones is same as this, is same as that, is same as this, same as that. So this suggests that all these animals were related and they had a common ancestor in the past. And this ancestor, it changed many times in many different environments and many different conditions to produce many different animals. What is your evidence? Oh, because of those
They have
what
a
we
same
call homologous structures.
What
What
is
are
homologous?
homologous structures? These are body parts. They have the same structure as you see, although they carry out different functions. Okay?
Okay.
Convinced or not, we are going to take the exam in this. So we will say, okay, it's true. Let's have, okay.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
the first evidence of evolution, evolution means it's changing over time. We will discuss this. Homologous structures, they are of, like, let's say, a human hand, bat wing. They have same structure, same bones, but they have different function. Same structure,
But different
different function.
function, yeah.
This suggests divergent evolution. We say this is called divergent evolution, common ancestor that evolved differently. Okay? Divergent evolution. Now, the second evidence from studying the body parts, and it came in the exam also many times, analogous structures. These are like, and
What
this
is analogous?
example is very important, the fish or shark. It came in the exam. Shark, fin, ودolphin, fin. They are both fins, so they perform the same function, right? Swimming.
Same
But
function.
if you look
Yeah.
inside, the
Same
bone
function.
structure in the fish
Mm-hmm.
is different from the
Yeah.
bone structure in the dolphin. So how come
Okay, so it's opposite of
organs that
homologous.
have the same structure, the same function, but different structure? What were you saying?
Mm. Oh, so it's like opposite of homologous
Yeah, the opposite. Same function and the different
structure.
structure. So, because they have different structure, they are not evolving from the same ancestor. We are different. So we didn't have the same ancestor with the same bones. But this suggests another evidence of evolution is that they started as different mammal and fish lived under the same environment. The earth was submerged by water, and the mammal evolved to become dolphin, while the fish evolved to become shark. So this, they didn't have a common ancestor, but they ended by shark and the dolphin. Sorry, the opposite. Shark here and the dolphin there. This is called convergent evolution. And I will show you how it comes in the questions right now. Convergent evolution means that we are speaking about
Because
two animals that don't have a common ancestor. Two
uh-huh.
animals that didn't have a common ancestor. Okay?
Yeah. Okay. But they mix together after all, even if
Yeah,
they
they
didn't have
look
a common
similar.
ancestor.
They look similar due to living in the same environment. Okay?
Okay. Okay.
See?
Which is the similar between fins of a shark and fins of a dolphin? B.
B. It's an evidence of convergent evolution. Okay?
Okay.
The last evidence, Mubina, why do ostriches have wings although they don't use the wings for flying? Why would you have an organ and this organ has no function in your body?
Because its ancestor had it
This is
like
it.
ostrich had it.
Excellent. So there were ostriches that used to fly. Right?
Yes.
This is a common reason, but we cannot use it as an evidence of a whole theory. So number 3, studying the body structures, they found some organs that they called the vestigial structures. Like human appendix. Look, we have an appendix in our digestive system. Do I have a photo here? No.
Mm.
If you don't know it, hang on a second. Human appendix. This this is a useless part in our large intestine. This small part here. Hang on a second. The tiny part at the end here. Do you have a photo here? Guys, it's a tiny photo.
The
Here.
appendix used to take
Like
all
this
the.
small part, it is useless in our body. So they say it
Uh-huh.
had a function in our early ancestors. Okay?
Yeah.
Ostrich
Okay.
wing. Ostrich.
And
Ah,
what happened? How we confiscate يعني who
how did it change
does the
like this
job of
and
the
lost its
appendix if
function?
yes.
It had a mutation. It must be a mutation, not a problem that happened in our body. A mutation in our genes that created a human with reduced appendix, and this second version of us was more successful to continue until today. The one ancestor with the large appendix was not that successful to survive, but like the ostrich, we had flying ostriches, some ostriches. This is my story. I made it. I say, if you want, yani, just support for this, I say the early as
Yeah.
ostriches used to fly. Some mutation created ostriches that can't fly. They had heavier weight and weaker wings. Those ostriches keep running on the ground. The other ones were flying, and they were obvious to the dinosaurs and the flying dinosaurs. So the flying ostriches were eaten up and they became extinct, and the running ostriches succeeded to survive. Everyone can make up a story. So, wallahi, yani, if you want to say no one created something, respect our minds, yani.
Yeah.
So vestigial structures had function in early ancestors. So what are these evidences about? What are these evidences about? All things here is speaking about the concept of evolution, and this is not the meaning of evolution. This is the ultimate evolution. Evolution, according to the previous evidences, this is the definition, and he asks about the definition in the exam. Evolution doesn't mean changing from one organism to another. Evolution is any change that happens to an organism. A small change followed by a small change, followed by a small change, followed by a small change would lead to what's in front of us here, accumulation of millions of changes over billions of years ago. So what they mean by evolution is the change in inherited, and they must be inherited traits, because any change that happened to us right now will not continue to appear in our offspring. Like if I cut someone arm, his offspring will have arms. If I am too skinny
Yeah.
and I went to the gym to become Big Ramy, to become the strongest one, So I am skinny, my father is skinny, his father is skinny. So whatever I acquired during my life, it is not in my DNA. So my baby will be skinny like me, right? Although I gained the muscles, but my DNA still have the same combination. So for evolution to happen, the changes must happen in the DNA to be passed to the next generations. Okay?
Okay.
They say sometime change the change in allele frequency in a population.
Allele.
The number of times a trait
Dominance.
if a trait increases and another trait decreases, this is an evolution, is a change that happened to a population, right?
Yeah. So this trait is gonna disappear because it's rarely
Another
seen.
trait appeared, for example, let's say we had a population of, let me show you to go to the topic directly. A live example.
The pepper's moth of color in the species.
Now, I will go directly with you to the theory of natural selection. They are speaking about this kind of moth. They have heritable variations. They have differences that are passed to the next generation. The gray will give birth or give life to another gray. The black will hatch black moths, right? In this environment, let's say that the population, look, how many flies here, how many moths in this picture?
4.
Focus more.
No, 5.
Did you see this one?
Yeah.
Okay. So there are 5 moths, but you hardly saw this one. So the gray ones allele will be larger than the black ones because they will not be spotted by enemy birds, right?
Yeah.
So look, natural selection means individuals who are best suited for an environment survive longer, reproduce more times, and pass their genes to more offspring, right?
Yeah.
So natural selection may lead to evolution.
Natural selection.
Look,
in the 1800s,
in the Industrial Revolution, they discovered the coal and started to burn coal everywhere.
The burning of coal released a lot of pollution. Dark clouds of soot and ash lingered in the air and even settled on the trees. Over time,
so the trees became black. Now the environment will be suitable more for the black ones or the gray ones.
Black ones.
So this is evolution. When individuals look, there is a change in the allele frequency. The allele of the gray color was large in this population, and now the gray color decreased while the black color increased, right?
Yes.
It is the same way as giraffes. But giraffes, let's say, or let's explain it first, the theory of natural selection. Before they discover the natural selection, or a scientist called Lamarck, he was mistaken. Lamarck tried to explain the evolution and how the animals evolved over time, but he was mistaken. he didn't have enough information about the living things and that they have DNA and they pass DNA. Lamarck said animals change or organisms change by use and disuse.
Use and disuse.
It means the organ that they use develop, and the organ that they don't use reduce. So he is speaking about when we acquire traits during our life, when we train an organ, like he says in a silly way, giraffe gained the longer neck because giraffe used to extend their neck. So they gained the taller necks.
Oh.
And the taller neck passed to the next generation. So they are born with taller neck. Extend it more to become more taller and they pass this to the next generation. After Lamarck, he was in the 16th century, maybe. He didn't know about the DNA, so he didn't know that this is ridiculous. He spoke about passing acquired traits. So he was wrong, but they wrote it in the box. They wrote him in the box because he was the first one that discussed the topic of evolution, the change of organisms over time. He brought it once in the exam. He said, Wisman cut the dog tails or rat tails, maybe, I don't know. Dog? No. Mouse or mice for 22 generations. Hello?
Yes.
Not here. No, not for you.
You can.
I'm looking for the look. 22. Let me write 22. For 22 generations. Where is it? Wisman cut the rat tails for 22 generations to reject the theory of, to prove what is
Natural
wrong.
selection.
Natural selection or use and disuse.
Natural selection.
It is
No, use and
rejected by
disuse.
this.
Use and disuse.
The rat disused the tail, and the next generation had tails. The next generation disused the tails and passed the tails to offspring. Next generation with cut tails passed the tails to their offspring. So this reject that the organ that we don't use will be or will disappear, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
But it didn't.
So what is the right theory of, or the correct theory? The theory that I respect, and by the way, I respect that their effort to seek how organisms evolved from each other. And I say, subhanallah, how did Allah made organisms evolve? If this is true, wallahi, I like the idea. Okay, organisms change over time, but nothing in this life happens by coincidence, just like this. So I agree with this. Okay, no problem. I agree with you. It's a respected effort, but it's a core of my life and my religion. Nothing happened by coincidence. If some extinction or asteroid hit the earth, or the frozen age or the ice age, all these things didn't happen like this. Allah made this happen at this time and made those survive and those died. That's it, simply. But we here think from the narrow point of view of human, trying to explain what's surrounding him, explaining it with only the surroundings. So, to the point, Darwin explained that organisms evolved over time. All the years change, and the earth have been changing, environment have been changing, millions of mutations created changes in the DNA that became heritable, and these changes are passed from generation to generation, from year to another year, changing the animals according to the different life they live and the different natural selection. Many changes happen to the organisms, but the nature always selected the best fit, those that fit the environment to survive, not the stronger, not the larger, not the smaller, not the faster. It depends on which environment I am living in. Some animals will survive because they are larger, others will survive because they are faster, others will survive because they can fly. So, survival for the fittest. Which one is fit more to the environment? So, Darwin, depending in his experiment or in his theory, upon we must understand those points. Number one, all organisms are born with heritable variation.
Means?
Like the
What
moth,
does it mean?
we have white color differences. Variations means differences. Like the gray moth and the black moth. All the moths are born with those variations that could be passed to the offspring. Number two, animals always under environmental pressure, like change in the environment, like competition between animals, right?
Yeah.
Some animals will have adaptations. Like the black color is an adaptation. What is the meaning of adaptation? A heritable trait that allow organism to survive and reproduce. So the taller neck of the giraffe was an adaptation. The larger size of the whale is an adaptation. The sharp teeth of the shark is an adaptation. Anything that helps the organism to survive more is an adaptation. Okay? So what will happen with time? Number 4, the population will change and those adapted organisms will survive more. So survival for the fittest and I want you to focus on
So why
this
then
part.
animals die?
Higher fitness doesn't mean fitness in human body fitness. Not like this.
Yeah.
The organism that is best fit to the environment. Higher fitness means living, surviving, and reproducing. Reproduction is more important than survival. An organism may live, one organism can live for 100 years, another organism that live for few months, the one that live for 100 years may become extinct, and the small one that lives only 1 month will continue to exist. Why? The one that lives 100 years doesn't reproduce much. They don't reproduce. So it's not passing its trait to the next generation. But the one that lives for 1 month reproduce always and always and always, feed and reproduce, feed and reproduce, feed and reproduce. So it will continue to exist because it will continue to pass its traits to offspring. It doesn't speak about surviving and reproduce, producing more surviving offspring. Okay?
Okay.
Because sometimes you lose memory in the homework. Remember.
Okay.
Look. Choose.
You can only show him. B.
Yes, because it survived and reproduce. Okay?
Okay. Do we have to memorize the names of the scientists?
In this chapter, we had Darwin and Lamarck only.
No, I mean others.
No, not others. I will give you a file with all the scientists and their achievements. It's a small one. About 6 or 7 names that you will memorize. Okay? So,
Okay.
this is natural selection. And I want to speak with you about how nature is selecting organisms that don't have a specific shape or a specific phenotype. Let's say when animals, let's say, what is the height of human? Do we have a specific heights? 150,
No.
160, 180, 190, or we extend from maybe 100 to 200 centimeters? With all the range, right? All the range exists, right? Now, let's speak about the types of natural selection in a polygenic trait like this. Types or patterns of natural selection. Let's say there is a population of mice. Okay? With coat color, the population is 0, 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, and so on. Okay?
Okay.
The population looks like this. From the white to black. Including all the intermediate. Yani white is very small. Black is very small. Lighter black. And so on. Here we have gray in the middle. You know, the intermediate, white, darker white, darker white, darker white, light gray, darker gray, very dark gray, light black, lighter, darker black, until this, like this, okay? Let's say that they live I will give you three examples that you should memorize. Let's say that they lived in a place with black rocks. What will happen if this is the original population? The black size will survive more, right?
Yes.
This kind of selection, it is called directional selection. It's like the giraffe. Longer neck giraffe only survived and the rest disappear. Okay. Okay.
Okay.
Like bacteria with resistance. He likes this example in the exam. He says you have a population of bacteria, a population of paramecium, whatever. You spray it with antibiotic, all the population died except few. So this is directional selection. We selected a specific phenotype and the rest disappear, right?
Yeah.
If I told you, what if they lived on gray rocks? Who will increase in size? The
Gray?
intermediate, right?
Why intermediate?
The gray will, black will appear on the gray rocks, white will appear on the gray rocks, but gray mice will not appear, right?
Why?
Why what? They are running.
Why do
A
you
gray
think
mouse,
appear?
a gray mouse running on gray rock. Will it appear?
No.
A black
You mean
mouse running on gray rock. It will appear darker than the ground, right?
yeah.
A white mouse running on a gray rock will appear lighter than the ground, but the gray will not appear from the ground, right?
Yeah.
So when he says the intermediate is selected more than the two extremes, this is called stabilizing selection. And the last one is very interesting. What if they are living in a shore with black rocks
Mm-hmm.
and white sand? So the black mice will hide in the black rocks, white mice will hide in the white sand, but the gray will appear here and there, right?
Yeah.
So what will happen? The white will increase, the black will increase, and the gray will decrease, right?
Yes.
White increase, black increase, and the gray decrease. This is called disruptive selection. What is this? He says in a question in the homework, I will leave it for you. I will not show it now. But he says birds with a small beak and the birds with large beaks are widely spread, while the birds with intermediate beak are intermediate. Again, birds with a small beak are widespread, birds with large beak are widespread, while birds with intermediate beak are intermediate. Which type of selection?
Disruptive selection.
Disruptive, okay?
Okay.
Okay. 5 minutes break.
Okay.
First of all, we need to agree on something that there are gray moth and black moth if we only had gray moth, they will not be able to adapt to the dark environment, right?
Yeah, they were going extinct.
Yes. So we wanted to agree on this. More variation lead to more adaptation, right?
Yes.
Okay. What is the more major source of adaptation? Sorry, what is the major source of variation?
Mutation.
Yeah. Mutations create new traits that may help
Mm-hmm.
organisms to adapt to the environment. This is the only way you create heritable variation. A variation that will be passed to the offspring is the variation that happens to our DNA. Okay? The
Okay.
most important source of variation. Okay?
Okay.
We need also to speak about something that is called gene flow. Like if you have a population of brown bears and a black bear came from outside.
Mm-hmm.
So this will create variation into the population, right?
Yes.
Reduction of variation that happens by chance, by coincidence. It is called genetic drift. Genetic
Drift.
drift. A sudden change that happen due to chance, and this decrease the variation in a population. Just 1 second. Especially in small population. What can happen in small populations? You have a population of 50 individuals. Let's say large wolves make up most of the population. They are strong, they can hunt and everything. Okay. And the small wolves,
Yes.
by natural selection, the large wolf is supposed to survive more the small ones, right?
Yes.
But let's say that the large wolves went to hunt, leaving the small wolves behind, and the forest got fire. Most of the large wolves died, and only the small wolves survived. Look, the population became like this: small wolves, and those are
This
the
is
large
also.
ones. Most of the large died. Did this happen due to natural selection or due to chance, coincidence?
Coincidence.
Okay?
Okay.
Forget about the founder effect. This is the most important. Now, I want to
So this
speak.
is called genetic.
This is called the genetic drift,
Okay.
a specific kind that we call the bottleneck effect.
So, okay.
I will show you why did they call it the bottleneck effect.
Mm-hmm.
It's like you had a large bottle filled up with many variations, and only small amount from the bottleneck survived.
Mm,
The original population had orange, red, and green. The orange was the largest amount, but after the bottleneck
yeah.
is built here, randomly the red became more. So it continued to
Mm,
change the genetic makeup or the allele makeup of the population. Okay.
okay.
Two scientists, Hardy Wimberg, they spoke about Hardy Wimberg. He spoke about the non-evolving population. Non-evolving population is in an equilibrium. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
If this is the population is made up of black individuals, B capital black,
Mm-hmm.
B capital B small black, and B small red. This is a stable population. They made two equations. He asks in the exam about the population of Hardy Wimberg. He says,
Hard.
here is it. Which of the following mathematical equation represent Hardy Wimberg equation? Let's see the equation, then select the answer. He says
Mm-hmm.
P plus Q equal 1 اللي هو dominant trait plus recessive trait equal 100%, right?
Yeah.
Also, he says P square plus 2PQ plus Q square equal 1. What is this? This is the homozygous dominant, and this is the
Mm-hmm.
heterozygous, and this is the recessive. Together,
Oh my
they
God,
make
how much?
100% of the population, right?
Yes.
Okay. So the equation is P plus Q equal 1, not P square plus Q square. And here we needed P square plus 2PQ plus Q square. Here we miss the square, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. We
No,
are
I don't
almost done.
understand.
What?
So it's in a constant equation, or it can
Yeah,
change?
constant. It's you can make it by your mind. Yeah. The dominant plus recessive make up the population. Also, the homozygous dominant plus the homozygous recessive plus the heterozygous make up the population. Okay.
Okay.
Now they spoke about the non-evolving population. When will you have a non-evolving population? When the things that cause natural selection, when the things that cause a change in population doesn't happen, the natural selection will not happen, the change and the evolution will not happen. Properties of non-evolving population. Number one, very large population. Imagine with me a population that is found in an island in the ocean that will not change for millions of years. First, a small population easy changed by natural disasters, right? So a very large population will ensure that small changes will not affect the allele frequency. Number two, isolated population means no gene flow from outside. A
But what do you
population
mean by
with
very large?
what?
What do you mean by very large?
Very large because small. Look, a population of 100. If 10 has it changed, that's a 10% of the population, right?
Yes.
But a population of million, 10 has it changed. Will this change the allele frequency? Is this a real percentage out of the population?
No.
So it is not considered a change or evolution yet. Maybe they will die. Maybe they will be eliminated. Maybe they will fail to survive. Okay? A population with no mutations. So no new traits will appear. This is theoretical. Okay? A population with random mating. Random mating. So no sexual selection. If the reproduction is non-random, focus with me. If the female prefer a specific phenotype to mate with, then this phenotype will continue to increase and the other phenotype will decrease. So this will change the alleles in the population over time, right? But the random mating, anybody will mate with anybody. So everybody has equal chance.
Oh.
Got it? The last thing, no natural selection. The environment will not change. There is no environmental pressure. There is no competition. So no one will be selected to survive rather than the other. So the population will remain as it is. Okay?
Okay.
The last thing, 5 minutes and we will finish. The patterns of evolution that we spoke about already. Forget about the isolation. It's never. Or let's say the isolation first. Small examples. What is the meaning of the word a species?
Species?
Yeah. Group of individuals, because it always comes in the exam, that can interbreed. What is the meaning of interbreed?
They can breed in the along with themselves.
Yes, and their offspring will reproduce also. Because horses and donkeys reproduce, but they don't belong to the same species. Horse and donkey have mule, but the mule is infertile. So they cannot form a single species together because they cannot continue to exist. If you have one male donkey and one female horse, they will disappear in 10 years. Even if they had offspring 100 mule, all the mules will die, the parents will die. But if you have one donkey male and one donkey female, they will keep reproducing and their offspring will keep reproducing, right?
Yeah.
Now, if you have a species and there is a mountain here that will make no gene flow, the group here will form a species different from this group because they can't reproduce. There is no gene flow between them, right?
Between what? A and B?
This is called the geographic isolation. There is mountain here, right?
Yes.
Behavioral, we don't care. Let's say that speciation happen. Speciation or formation of new species happens when there is no or less gene flow. So the two groups become reproductively isolated. They can't reproduce.
Appreciation, formation of new species.
Okay.
So this is when they don't have any
They keep their genes
diversity?
isolated long time enough. This because us human, we are supposed to be geographically isolated all over the world. Every group live in one country, one continent. But we always fly to each other. We always reproduce with each other. There is no race that is reproductively isolated from the others. African, Asian, American, Latin, everybody is marrying the others, and there is a gene flow between all the races. So we don't make new species. We are all still the same species, right?
Yes.
But if animals are isolated and they can't reach each other, their genes will change separately. So their chromosomes will become different over time and they will not be able to reproduce. Okay?
Okay.
The last thing, I got tired. Types of evolution. And there is two graphs. Remind me if I forgot. I will show you two graphs after this. Number one, divergent evolution. We spoke about it already. Remember the homologous structures?
Yes.
Divergent evolution, single ancestor diverge to produce two different species.
Divergent means
Evolving from a common ancestor.
yes, okay, yeah, I remember.
Okay, man hand, human hand bat wing. Okay. Convergent evolution.
Convergent evolution. It's when they don't have common ancestor,
Excellent.
but they are similar.
And they are supported by analogous
Analogous, yes.
structures. We start differently and we become similar.
Yes.
Fish, shark, and whale. Fish and mom. The last example, it is called adaptive radiation. Single species produce many species.
Mm.
If
Like,
it
you
came
mean
in
one
the
ancestor?
exam, if it came in the exam, you will ask about Galapagos finches. A single species of birds traveled to Galapagos Islands in South America, and this single species of birds evolved into many different bird species like this.
Mm. Okay.
That's it. But I want you to understand two concepts of evolution over long time. Some people that say that evolution happen small change by small change. People who
Yes.
adopt this theory call it gradualism. Organisms change
Okay.
gradually, small change by small change, until they become very different. There are some other people
Mm.
that say that organisms that lived in Earth, it changes suddenly. They remain constant. They change suddenly. Then they remain
Oh.
constant in equilibrium. Then they change suddenly. This is called the
Mm.
punctuated equilibrium. And it looks constant, sudden change. Constant, sudden change. Constant, sudden change. Got it?
Yeah.
It's like
Hi, today we're going to go through gradualism versus punctuated
some
equilibrium.
people say
Or
that
gradualism.
butterfly may change suddenly and stay like this for long period of time. And the other people say gradualism, the butterfly changed gradually, step by step. Eventually, they are the same at the end. But some people adopt the idea that animals change suddenly, punctuated equilibrium, and the other believe that animals change gradually. Okay?
Okay. So what do you,
He
and
brings
what is
a
the correct
graph in the exam and he says which graph represent gradualism. So you have to know it's like a tree. Gradually. I'll send it to you. What were you saying?
So there is no correct one.
No, two hypotheses. No one is sure 100%. Okay?
Mm.
Yeah,
Okay.
Cladogram will be the next time.